Right. Hobart S sitting at 21 degrees right now, while Darwin S only hitting 28. Yeah, you heard that right. When was the last time Tasmania was nearly as warm as the top end? Is your area about to cop the wettest week we've seen in months? Or are you looking at bone dry conditions that'll push fire danger through the roof? Because right now, the Bureau of Meteorology has severe weather warnings active across 3 states, affecting over 8 million Australians. And what's coming next could change everything. Here's what I am going to do. In the next 60 seconds, I'll give you exact timing for when conditions change in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, Hobart, Darwin and Canberra. Then we'll dive deep into what the models are showing, and I'll explain why there is some serious disagreement between Access and the European model that could mean completely different outcomes for southeastern Australia. But first, chuck your location in the comments right now. Seriously, drop your city or town below, because tomorrow I am doing personalised forecasts based on what you lot are asking for, and I want to make sure your area gets covered. All right, here's the timing. Sydney, URE dry until Tuesday afternoon, then storms roll in around 4 p.m. Melbourne, your rain arrives earlier, Monday night around 10, heaviest Tuesday morning. Brisbane, you've got scattered showers from Sunday arvo right through to Wednesday. Perth, you are staying bone dry until at least Thursday. Adelaide gets a brief shower Monday evening, clearing overnight. Hobart, rain Sunday night, easing Monday. Darwin, typical afternoon storms daily, heaviest Wednesday. Canberra, dry until Tuesday, then a decent drenching Tuesday night into Wednesday. Now here S, where it gets interesting. The Access model is showing this low pressure system tracking further south, which would mean heavier rain for Victoria and southern New South Wales. But the European model reckons it stays north, putting the heaviest falls across central and northern New South Wales and southern Queensland. This 100-kilometre difference changes everything for millions of people. Let's break down what is happening right now. We've got a monsoon trough sitting across northern Australia, a heat trough building through the interior, and a cold front approaching from the Southern Ocean. These 3 systems are going to interact over the next 72 hours, and the timing of that interaction determines who gets what. For you lot in far north Queensland, Cairns is looking at afternoon storms pretty much every day this week. We re-talking 20 to 40 millimetres daily, sometimes more. Townsville, similar story but slightly lighter, 15 to 30 mils. The Cassowary Coast could cop some intense falls, particularly Tuesday and Wednesday. Remember, it is still stinger season up there, so netted enclosures only if you are hitting the beaches. Across to the top end, Darwin S in full wet season mode. Currently 28 degrees, feeling absolutely muggy with that 82% humidity. You are looking at storms every afternoon, biggest Thursday with possible 50 to 80 millimetres. Catherine, similar pattern but slightly drier. Crocodile and jellyfish warnings remain in place across all northern coastal waters. Now, southeastern Queensland is where things get complicated. Brisbane, you are at 29 degrees right now, and we reforecasting storms to develop Sunday afternoon around 3 or 4 o'clock. Could be severe, particularly on the ranges and western suburbs. The Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast, you will see the same systems, but timing's a bit later, maybe 5 to 6 p.m. Toowoomba on the ranges could cop a real drenching, 40 to 70 millimetres possible. Inland Queensland, Longreach and Charleville are staying hot and dry, 37 and 38 degrees respectively, 0 rain on the radar. Mount Isa, you are even hotter at 39 and you'll stay that way all week. Here is something I want you to think about, and we'll come back to this at the 8-minute mark. There is one location in New South Wales that could see something completely unexpected midweek. I'll explain why in a bit. Sydney right now, 26 degrees, humidity S comfortable at 50%. URE dry today and tomorrow, then Tuesday afternoon is when it all kicks off. The models are showing storm development west of the city around 2 p.m, tracking east through the afternoon. Newcastle could see these storms earlier, around 1 p.m. Wollongong, you're looking at later, maybe 5 to 6. The severity depends on how much instability builds up, and honestly, we want to know until Monday afternoon as model runs. Central Coast, you are in that zone where timing could vary by a couple of hours either way. Coffs Harbour up north, you are ahead of this system, so Monday night into Tuesday is your window. Wagga Wagga inland, you will stay mostly dry, just some high cloud. For Canberra, you are sitting at 26 degrees currently, dropping to 13 overnight. That's a decent range. Your rain doesn't arrive until Tuesday night, but when it does, could be 20 to 40 millimetres, maybe more if thunderstorms develop. Definitely bring the washing in Tuesday, Arvo. Melbourne, you are at 24 degrees with that classic southerly breeze keeping things pleasant. Now, here is where that model disagreement I mentioned earlier really matters. If access is right and the low track south, you could see 30 to 50 millimetres Monday night into Tuesday. If the European Model S correct and it stays north, you might only get 10 to 20. That's a huge difference for people with leaky roofs or blocked gutters. Geelong and the Surf Coast, same story. Ballarat on the ranges could see more if the southern scenario plays out. Bendigo and Shepparton, you are more likely to stay drier regardless of which model wins. We'll have much better clarity tomorrow afternoon when the overnight model runs come through. So definitely check back because this is genuinely uncertain right now. Across to South Australia, Adelaide S sitting at 28 degrees, lovely evening ahead. You've got a weak front brushing past Monday evening, might give you 5 to 10 millimetres, but nothing significant. Mount Gambier in the southeast could see a bit more, maybe 15 to 20. The Barossa Valley and McLaren Vale wine regions stay mostly dry, which is good news if you are planning a day trip. Port Augusta and Whyalla up north, you are hot and dry. 34 and 33 degrees respectively, no rain in sight. Tasmania, let's talk about those unusual temperatures. Hobart at 21 degrees is genuinely warm for you lot. Launceston S at 22. This northerly flow ahead of the approaching front is pushing warm air south. You will get rain Sunday night, 10 to 20 millimetres for most areas, then clearing Monday with temperatures dropping back to more typical mid-teens. Devonport on the north coast and Strahan on the west will see the front first, Sunday evening around 7 or 8 p.m. The east coast stays drier longer. Now, Western Australia is a completely different story. Perth, you absolutely nailing it right now. 31 degrees, clear skies, that beautiful Fremantle Dr. C breeze in the afternoon. You stay dry all week, and I mean properly dry. 0 millimetres. This is peak Perth summer weather. Bunbury down south, same deal. Geraldton up north, likewise. Even Broome in the far north is staying relatively dry compared to the eastern states, though you will see some isolated showers. Kalgoorlie inland, you recooking at 36 degrees and staying that way. Hang on, let me clarify something about those Brisbane storm timings. When I said Sunday afternoon around 3 or 4, that's the initial development. The storms could persist into the evening, so don't want to think you are clear by 6 p.m. This is important for anyone with outdoor plans Sunday night. All right, remember I mentioned that one New South Wales location that could see something unexpected. It is the Hunter Valley. Currently, there is a possibility of severe storms Tuesday afternoon with large hail and damaging winds. The atmospheric setup is pretty unusual with strong wind shear aloft and good surface moisture. Maitland, Cessnock, Singleton, you are all in this zone. Now, this is definitely not certain yet. Could easily fizzle out, but it's worth keeping an eye on, particularly if you've got vehicles or property that could cop hail damage. Let us talk fire danger because this matters. Despite the rain coming for parts of the east, Western Australia, South Australia and inland areas are facing elevated to extreme fire danger ratings over the coming days. Total fire bans are likely Tuesday and Wednesday for parts of WA and SA. If you in these areas, absolutely no open flames, no machinery in grassland, no nothing. Bushfire risk is serious. The heat through central and Western Australia is intense. Alice Springs, you are hitting 37 degrees Monday, 38 Tuesday. Feels like temperatures could touch 42 with that desert sun. If you are visiting Uluru or doing any outback activities, early morning only, carry excessive water. This is deadly serious heat. There's another element to this forecast that got me concerned, and I'll explain why at the 12-minute mark. It involves compounding factors that could make impacts worse than the raw rainfall numbers suggest. For northern New South Wales, Lismore, Byron Bay, Ballina, the rain Monday into Tuesday could hit 50 to 90 millimetres. Soil moisture is already high, so flooding is possible. Southeast Queensland, the Scenic Rim and Jimboomba areas could see 100 to 150 millimetres if storms train over the same spots. Keep an eye on Bureau warnings. Across to the Northern Territory beyond Darwin, Catherine is expecting daily afternoon storms, 32 to 33 degrees daily, dropping to 24 overnight. Alice Springs, I mentioned already, absolutely baking. Tennant Creek, Uwharrie at 38 degrees, no rain. Back to Queensland's interior, Roma and Emerald are staying hot. 36 and 37 degrees. Rockhampton on the coast, Uwharrie more moderate at 32 but humid. Mackay similar. These northern centres see isolated showers but nothing organised. If you haven't dropped your location in the comments yet, do it now. I am checking them constantly, and tomorrow's forecast will focus on the areas you lot are asking about. Makes it way more useful for everyone. All right, that compounding factor I mentioned. Here's the thing. The rain arriving for Eastern Australia comes after weeks of pretty dry conditions for many areas, particularly southeast Queensland. When you get heavy rain on dry, hard ground, you get rapid runoff. Flash flooding becomes a risk, even with moderate rainfall totals. Plus, storm drains and creeks are often blocked with debris and leaves from the dry spell. So a storm that might normally handle 50 millimetres could flood with 30. This is relevant for Brisbane's western suburbs, parts of Sydney's northwest, and various regional centres. Just something to be aware of. Not trying to scare anyone, just being realistic about the risks. The jet stream configuration is creating that model uncertainty I mentioned. Southern jet dipping south allows heat to build over the interior and west, while split flow over the Tasman affects the low pressure track. This is why Access and European models disagree. Looking at specific winds, Sydney-S getting northeasterly flow Monday, switching southeasterly Tuesday as the change comes through. That southerly one, TB a buster, more just a gentle change. Melbourne gets northerly Monday, switching southwesterly Tuesday afternoon. That LL drop your temperature from 25 down to about 20 by evening. Perth, your easterly morning winds switch to that gorgeous westerly sea breeze every afternoon. Absolutely textbook. Regional Victoria deserves more detail. Warrnambool on the southwest coast, you are looking at showers Monday, 10 to 20 millimetres. Sale in Gippsland, similar. The high country, Mount Buller, Falls Creek, you could see 20 to 30 millimetres, maybe some wet snow above 1,800 metres if temperatures drop enough Tuesday. Probably not, but it is marginal. New South Wales ski fields, Thredbo and Perisher, you are too warm for snow. Just cold rain Tuesday, and honestly not much of it, maybe 10 millimetres. There's uncertainty about Thursday and Friday. Extended models hint at another system possibly affecting Victoria and Tasmania, but that S 5 to 6 days out. We recurrently in ENSO neutral conditions, neither El Niño nor La Niña, which means individual weather systems matter more than big climate drivers. Actually, let me check that Brisbane timing again. Yes, Sunday afternoon, 3 to 4 p.m. for storm initiation west of the city. They'll move east through the afternoon and evening. Some areas could see multiple cells, so don't be surprised if you get storms a break, then more storms later. That S pretty typical with this setup. For island territories, Norfolk Island is looking at showers Monday and Tuesday, 10 to 20 millimetres. Lord Howe Island, similar. Christmas Island way up in the Indian Ocean. You are in typical wet season pattern, afternoon storms most days. Here's what I reckon you need to focus on for the next 72 hours. If you are in Eastern Australia, Sydney to Brisbane corridor, stay updated because storm timing and severity could change with each model run. If you in Western Australia or South Australia, fire danger is your concern, not rain. Interior areas, the heat is serious, and everyone in Northern Australia, it's just typical wet season, nothing unusual. Tomorrow's model runs will be crucial for nailing down that low pressure track. We'll know by tomorrow afternoon whether Melbourne gets hammered or stays relatively dry. That S when I'll do the deep dive on your specific locations from the comments. Look, Australian weather in summer can be genuinely tricky to forecast, especially storm development. Small atmospheric changes create big differences in outcomes. All we can do is give you the best available information and be honest about uncertainty. One more thing about that Hunter Valley severe storm risk Tuesday. If it does develop, we're re-talking afternoon into early evening, probably 2 to 7 p.m. window. The ingredients are there for supercells, but whether they actually form is another question. Definitely check back tomorrow because I'll have updated information once the overnight models run. I am genuinely interested to see where you lot are watching from. The comments on these videos show people from absolutely everywhere, from tiny towns I've never heard of to the major cities. Drop your location below and tell me what you are planning this week that weather might affect. Outdoor work, beach days, events, helps me focus on what actually matters to you. Tomorrow's video will have that personalised forecast based on your comments. Plus, we'll know which model won that eastern low argument. Also going to look at the extended outlook for next weekend because there's hints of something developing, but it is too far out to commit to anything specific yet. Appreciate you watching, seriously. Australian weather is wild, diverse and often unpredictable, but that is what makes it interesting. Stay safe, particularly if you are in those fire danger areas or dealing with severe weather risks. I'll have tomorrow's update out around 5 p.m. Eastern Time.